There was only one bed, so I told Riley we could make a deal. We'd flip a coin, and one guy would get the bed and the other would sleep on the floor. But Riley took a look at the crusty shag carpet and decided he didn't want to risk it. I decided I wasn't willing to sleep on the floor either, so I got into bed with Riley and just stayed as far away from him as possible. Riley started snoring right away, but I was having trouble falling asleep with half my body hanging off the bed. I was finally starting to drift off when Riley let out a scream like he was being attacked. For a second there, I thought the muddy hand had finally caught up with us. Riley's parents came running in to see what happened. Riley said he had a nightmare that there was a chicken hiding underneath him. So Riley's parents spent the next 20 minutes trying to calm him down and telling him it was just a bad dream and there really was no chicken. Nobody bothered to check on how I was doing after falling off the bed onto my face. Riley spent the rest of the night sleeping in his parents' room, which was fine with me because without Riley and his chicken dreams to keep me awake, I was able to get a good night's sleep. Wednesday. I've been stuck inside this cabin for 3 days now, and I'm really starting to lose my mind. I've been trying to get Mr. and Mrs. Jefferson to take us to the boardwalk, but they say it's too noisy there. I've never gone this long without TV or computers or video games, and I'm starting to feel kind of desperate. When Mr. Jefferson works late at night on his laptop, I sneak downstairs and watch him just to get a glimpse of the outside world. I've tried to get Mr. Jefferson to let me use his laptop a couple of times, but he says it's his work computer and he doesn't want me to mess anything up. Last night I was at my breaking point, so I did something a little risky. When Mr. Jefferson got up to use the bathroom, I jumped at my chance. I rattled off an email to Mom as quick as I could, then ran upstairs and got into bed. To Heffley Susan, subject SOS, help, help, get me out of here. These people are driving me crazy. When I came downstairs for breakfast this morning, Mr. Jefferson didn't look too happy to see me. It turns out that I sent that email from Mr. Jefferson's work account, and Mom answered back. Family vacations can be a challenge. Is Gregory not behaving himself? Susan. I thought Mr. Jefferson was going to really let me have it, but he didn't say anything at all. Then Mr. Jefferson said maybe we could go to the boardwalk later on this afternoon and spend an hour or two there. Well, that's all I was ever asking for. A few hours is all I really need. If I can just ride the cranium shaker once, I'll feel like this trip wasn't a total waste of time. Friday. I'm back home from the beach 2 days early, and if you want to know the reason why, it's kind of a long story. The Jeffersons took me and Riley to the boardwalk yesterday afternoon. I wanted to go on the cranium shaker right away, but the line was too long, so we decided to get some food and come back later. We got some ice cream, but Mrs. Jefferson only ordered one cone for the 4 of us to share. Want a lick? Mom gave me $30 to spend at the beach, and I blew 20 of it on this one carnival game. I was trying to win a giant stuffed caterpillar, but I think they have those games rigged so you can't succeed. Riley watched me blow my $20, and then he asked his dad to buy him the exact same giant caterpillar at a shop next door. And the thing that really stinks is that it only cost him $10. I think Mr. Jefferson is making a big mistake with a move like that. Now Riley feels like a winner, even though he isn't. I've had my own experience with that sort of thing. Last year, when I was on the swim team, they had this special swim meet I got invited to on a Sunday. When I showed up, I realized none of the good swimmers were there. It was only the kids who had never won a ribbon before. At first, I was pretty happy because I thought I might actually win something for once. I still didn't do well, though. My event was the 100-meter freestyle, and I got so pooped that I had to walk the last lap. But the judges didn't disqualify me, and at the end of the night, I got a first-place ribbon, which my parents handed to me. In fact, everyone walked away with the first-place ribbons, even Tommy Lamb, who got turned around in the backstroke and swam the wrong way. When I got home, I was confused. But then Roderick saw me with my first-place champions ribbon, and he gave me the scoop. Roderick told me the champions meet is just a scam put on by parents to make their kids feel like winners. I guess parents think they're doing their kids a favor by going through with all that. But if you ask me, I think it just causes more problems down the road. I remember when I used to be on the t-ball team and everyone would cheer even when I struck out. Then the next year in junior baseball, all my teammates and the other parents would boo me off the field if I dropped a pop fly or something. All I'm saying is if Riley's parents want to make him feel good about himself, they can't do it now when he's a kid and then walk away. They've got to stick with him all the way through. Good job, Riley. Really? After the caterpillar thing, we just walked up and down the boardwalk waiting for the line for the cranium shaker to go down. Then I saw something that got my attention. It was that girl from Roderick's keychain picture. But here's the thing, she wasn't a real person. She was a cardboard cutout. I felt like an idiot for ever thinking that she was a real girl. Then I realized I could buy my own keychain picture and impress all the guys at school. I might even be able to make some money by charging them to look at it. I paid my $5 and posed for my photo. Unfortunately, the Jeffersons got into the picture with me, so now my souvenir keychain is pretty much worthless. I was really mad, but I forgot all about it when I saw that the line for the cranium shaker was down to a few people. I ran over to the ride and used my last $5 to pay for a ticket. I thought Riley was right behind me, but he was hanging back about 10 feet. I guess he was too scared to go on. I was starting to have second thoughts myself, but it was too late. After the ride operator strapped me in, he locked the cage and I knew there was no turning back. Well, I wish I had spent more time watching what the cranium shaker actually did to a person, because I never would have got on it if I had. It flips you upside down about 1,000,000 times and then throws you toward the ground so your face is about 6 inches from the pavement. Then it sends you spinning backward up to the sky again, and the whole time the cage you're in is creaking and all the bolts look like they're about to come loose. I tried to get someone to stop the ride, but nobody could hear me over the pounding heavy metal music. It was the most nauseous I've ever felt in my life, and when I say that, I mean even more than after I had to get Manny out of the shower area of the town pool. If this is what it takes to be a man, I am definitely not ready yet. When the ride finally ended, I could barely walk, so I sat down on a bench and waited for the boardwalk to stop spinning. I stayed there a long time and focused on trying not to throw up, while Riley rode some rides that were more his speed. After Riley was done with his kiddie rides, his dad bought him a boppy balloon and a shirt from the souvenir shop. An hour later, I was finally ready to try standing up and walking around again, but when I got to my feet, Mr. Jefferson said it was time to go. I asked him if we could just play a few games in the arcade, and he said okay, even though he didn't seem happy about it. I had spent all the money Mom gave me, so I told Mr. Jefferson $20 would probably do it, but all he was willing to give me was $1. I think the arcade was too loud for Mr. and Mrs. Jefferson, so they didn't want to go inside. They told us to go in by ourselves and meet them outside in 10 minutes. I went to the back of the arcade where they had this game called Thunderbolt. I spent about $50 on that game last year, and I got the high score. I wanted Riley to see my name at the top of the list because I wanted to show him what it was like to win something without it being handed to you. Well, my name was still at the top of the list, but the person who got the next highest score must have been jealous they couldn't beat me. Greg Heffley is an idiot. Jarhead, 71, reckless. I unplugged the machine to try and wipe out the high scores, but they were burned into the screen permanently. I was going to just spend our money on some other game, but then I remembered a trick Roderick told me about, and I realized we could make the dollar last a lot longer. Me and Riley walked outside and went underneath the boardwalk. Then I slipped the dollar bill up between the planks of wood and waited for our first victim. Eventually, a teenager spotted the dollar sticking out of the boardwalk. Score! When he went to grab it, I pulled the dollar bill through the slot at the last second. I have to hand it to Roderick because this was actually a lot of fun. The teenagers we pranked weren't too happy though, and they came after us. Me and Riley ran as fast as we could, and we didn't stop until we were pretty sure we shook those guys. But I still didn't feel safe. I asked Riley to show me some of the moves he learned in karate so we could handle those guys if they found us.